This is a special presentation of Farm Journal Television.
Welcome to Harvest of Thanks. I'm Clinton Griffiths.
And I'm Andrew McCrae.
We're coming to you from Living History Farms just outside Des Moines, Iowa, for our annual tribute to America's farmers and ranchers.
We'll tell you more about this special museum later in the program. But first, let's see how America's farmers and ranchers are meeting the needs of a growing global population.
It was last year at this time that Farm Journal launched its Farmers Feeding the World initiative, inviting you to dream big with us.
And those dreams are being fulfilled.
Farmers Feeding the World is dreaming huge, and it's been that kind of first year.
And today, 1 out of every 7 people on Earth will wake up and not even know how to fill this cup.
Which is why Farmers Feeding the World is helping fill it. With 1 billion people on the planet suffering from hunger, the foundation is partnering with the World Food Program and Heifer International to help feed those who need it now. Our corporate friends and agribusiness agree it's a problem desperately in need of solutions.
But it's also kind of core to who we are. The agriculture and food businesses in DuPont are really aimed at helping people produce more and better quality food.
The next 5 years, I'd like to think that hopefully the people that matter, particularly in some of these growing Asia-Pacific countries, places that are characterized by literally hundreds of millions of smallholder farmers, are able to perhaps take up some of the modern technology that exists today.
Providing food is something which should be in everybody's mind. Because once you do that, and once hunger is not any longer your biggest problem, or feeding people your biggest priority, then you move on to other things. You move on to education, you move on to growth, and you develop your countries.
Farmers Feeding the World saw the need for development firsthand.
Salam alaikum.
In partnership with the Howard G. Buffett Foundation, the group toured the war-torn land of Afghanistan, searching for ways to help and prepared to share the story with anyone who will listen.
To be able to understand what farmers are going through in a country like Afghanistan with the history that they've had, you can't really get it unless you go talk to them. I mean, you really need to go sit down and talk to them. So for me, I don't think about, I don't want to do anything foolish, but on the other hand, I think to really learn it and understand it, and if we were going to get engaged to be able to make intelligent decisions, we need to see it, we need to talk to people, and we need to understand really what's going on on the ground.
We're here to help fight world hunger, but we need your help.
Farmers Feeding the World also set up shop at events across the country, educating the masses about the global hunger crisis and the role of the American farmer and rancher.
I can't be happier to see all you guys out.
Also announced this year, a pledge of $500,000 to FFA chapters across the country.
We're looking to work with 7,700 chapters on local hunger programs throughout the country, and we're going to award 130 to 150 grants of a couple $1,000s to chapters that put together sustainable agricultural programs. It's really cool.
Hunger is not just what it used to be. It's a new face of hunger, the hidden hunger that we many times talk about. And what we want them to do is to use this grant to think about ways that they can do things that are sustainable, that they can continue, that they can help those local communities do a better job.
And later in 2011, the Farm Journal Forum in Washington, D.C. will bring together great minds focusing on policy and ways America can continue to seek solutions to global hunger. In this land of plenty, Farmers Feeding the World is dreaming huge, hoping one day the cups and the stomachs of everyone in the world will be full.
As you can see, we're dreaming big here, and we hope all of agriculture will join us. Clinton?
Thanks, Andrew. 2011 will go down as a year of weather extremes. We saw firsthand the devastation that can be caused by water.
From North Dakota to Louisiana, we saw the nation's biggest rivers tearing into fertile soil and leaving deep scars in their wake.
We also saw how a lack of rain could devastate farm and ranch land. But despite it all, we found farmers thankful for what they do. Erica Goss has the story from the Parched Plains.
Randy Teeter is the fire chief for the New Deal, Texas Volunteer Fire Department. He says they're lucky. Many of the wildfires in their area north of Lubbock were limited in size because the farmland is mostly cultivated. A few of the New Deal volunteers assisted in other parts of Texas where massive wildfires burned relentlessly. The effort was grueling and dangerous.
We tried to keep our people rehabbed, and we had one call where we had a couple of firemen that just became dehydrated, ended up going to the hospital and stuff just for dehydration and overexertion, not really smoke inhalation, just the fact that just from the heat.
2011 will long be remembered as one of the worst in Texas. The worst in terms of drought, extreme heat, and high winds, all of which fueled fires, lots of fires.
Everything just got so dry, and once it became dry, everything burns. And what I think maybe some folks didn't realize, that included, it wasn't just the fact that the grass was brown and dry. Houses were dry, woods dry. You see evergreen trees, they look green, they're not green. They burn real easily, and so that helped fuel a lot of those fires. And so everything just became so dry that the slightest little spark would set it off.
In some places, grass fires scorched tens of thousands of acres. In other places, entire neighborhoods were destroyed. For Teeter's department, there were a lot of close calls.
Some of them would just get the grass burning right up next to the structure, embers flying around, getting things, backyards, things like this going in. And, a few more minutes would have made a big difference.
The importance of volunteer fire departments hit close to home for me this year. This is the farm where my parents keep most of their equipment for hay and wheat, and that includes tractors, combines, trucks, all of their hay equipment, and even some livestock. A fire late last March hit in the pasture behind me, and if it weren't for the volunteer fire departments, my parents could have lost everything in their farming operation.
We got a call that we had a grass fire at our property near Carmen, and we had high winds, very, very high winds from the north, and they were sweeping toward our barn. We had equipment out there, and it was blowing right toward everything. And our fire departments responded. In fact, 5 of our rural fire departments responded. And if they hadn't been there and put it out, we would have lost the whole place.
The fire was headed directly toward this hay barn. The neighbors helped move the equipment to safety, and the fire department arrived just in time.
It was about as scared as I've ever been of losing everything I've worked for on that day. And I can't say enough about the rural fire departments in this part of the country, because they work together hand in hand.
Sadly, many families in Texas and Oklahoma did lose homes, barns, equipment, or livestock this year. But the heroic efforts of volunteers saved thousands of structures and saved my family's farmstead.
Rural fire departments have done an excellent job, coordinated very well. Sheriff's departments work very well with us, keeping everybody informed what the need is and what needs to be done. But without proper equipment, without trained volunteers, our job would be much more difficult.
They honor one another, and when somebody's in trouble, they call, and the other one goes and helps. And you just be thankful that we have them out in here.
Although volunteer firefighters don't do the job for the thanks, on this day we give thanks for the heroic efforts of these men and women who have selflessly given, often in extremely hot, windy, and dangerous situations, to their neighbors and communities.
Harvest of Thanks. Brought to you by Farmers Feeding the World. Agriculture has the ability to feed 1 billion hungry people. Please dream huge with us.
When you're missing nitrogen, you're missing a lot. On average, more than 30% of soil-applied nitrogen simply disappears. Yet study after study shows that AgDay nitrogen stabilizers yield more. In 2008, 15 to 25 bushels per acre more in corn alone for just pennies per pound. Control nitrogen loss now with AgDay and get back what you're missing. Ask your retailer about AgDay or AgDay Plus.
Are you tired of buying puts and calls and watching these options expire worthless? Contact us here at Bauer Trading, where we try to take advantage of trades that sell or underwrite options where the premium is then given to the client. We use the team approach here at Bauer Trading, where we work with the clients on an individual basis in order to maximize strategy and profit.
Sellers of options are subject to margin calls and virtually unlimited risk of loss.
Anything? No. How about now? Nope.
The Chevy Silverado, with best-in-class 4x4 available V8 fuel economy.
Finally!
From getting there to getting away from there, Chevy runs deep.
You don't just see a farm. You see a common bond. That's what we're working to protect. Enlist is a new herbicide-tolerant trait system that will build on glyphosate, improving performance to move farming ahead.
Welcome back to Harvest of Thanks. Each year at this time, we reflect on the blessings we have in our homes and as a nation. Now we'd like you to meet some of the American farmers who are responsible for putting this bountiful harvest on our table. Farm Director Al Pell takes us to Auburn, Illinois, where a corn grower says amongst all of his blessings, he's thankful to live his life on the farm.
For many growers in the eastern corn belt, it was a tough growing season. Wet fields in the spring, dry in the summer, took a toll on many of the fields. But for Illinois farmer Gary Niemeyer, harvest time brings a time of great reflection. Gray skies, but a clear mission for Gary Niemeyer, a third-generation farmer with more than 40 years to his credit. The crop was able to overcome some tough weather challenges, but it's the year-in, year-out results that Gary describes in one word: amazing.
No matter how much time I spend harvesting and planting, I'm just amazed how things end up turning out at the end. This is really a fantastic story we've had to tell.
Gary says the land and what's produced on it each year is at the core of every American farmer. He says that may be difficult for people who are not associated with agriculture to understand. His dad understood.
My dad was the best guy there ever was. And as far as him encouraging me to farm, I don't think he discouraged me, but he wanted me to be who I wanted to be. And I wanted to farm.
In his role as president of the National Corn Growers Association, Gary feels the need to carry the torch for America's farmer.
It's within you as a farmer, and everybody has that certain faith that they're going to come back and produce another crop of next year, and it's going to be better yet. And I think you have to have that to be a farmer. And this is something that I cannot relate very well to the average person. I don't know how they can understand what I'm saying. You have to live it.
Gary, along with wife Cheryl, raised 3 children in central Illinois. The kids chose a different career path and may not return to the farm.
Wow, look at that.
And while the kids don't work the land, Gary knows they still respect the land, the farmstead, and what it means.
This is the time of year you got to be thankful for the things you've had. And I've had the great opportunity to live my life on a farm, and I really appreciate that. And I hope my grandchildren do too.
Sharing a passion and living the life in American agriculture.
Tool that everybody's been looking at for years.
Ingenious, I think.
Grab this thing out of your tractor and tighten it up. You can tighten it and be back in the tractor about as fast as you can open a gate.
And handy little bag to carry it in. Yeah, you can throw that in your pickup, on the back of your horse, anywhere.
This would be a great gift to give somebody.
We're simply going to open up one side of the jaw, lock it on, open up the other side, and we're going to turn our body sideways. Now, the tighter I pull it, the tighter the fence stays. We're going to lay it across the face of the tool. We're going to take a nice short wrap on this side. We're going to come over here. We're going to take a nice short wrap on this side like this. So use your fencing pliers and simply weave it right back into the fence where you took it out of. Now, if you'll notice, that fence is just nice and bowstring tight, just like we wanted it to be when we started out.
Order the original Texas Fence Fixer now for Christmas for just $79.95 with free shipping and handling. Or get the kit. Includes fencing pliers, deerskin gloves, the original Texas Fence Fixer, and carry bag for only $109.95 and get free shipping and handling.
Howdy friends, I've written another book. It's a self-help marketing partly true story about how I beat the odds and became a cowboy poet. It's full of lessons like you'll be amazed at how capable people think you are if they don't know you well. Don't waste that advantage. It's worth about $14, but I'm charging $22 plus shipping. And yes, it's funny. So call us or go to BaxterBlack.com. And look, it's got pictures.
From groundbreaking motocross technology to a leader in ATV innovation to #1 in MotoGP and #1 in sport ATVs, Yamaha is the first name in motorsports. Be the first to save big during the Yamaha Time to Ride sales event.
Living History Farms near Des Moines gives visitors a glimpse into our agricultural heritage. It tells the story of how Iowans transformed the prairies of the Midwest into some of the most productive farmland in the world. It's a 500-acre open-air museum that draws tens of thousands of visitors each year. This learning center tells the story of American agriculture over 5 historical time periods spanning 3 centuries.
Like many of you, Idaho wheat farmer Wayne Hurley is thankful for this year's harvest, but he recognizes, though, that some farmers, especially those in drought areas, were not as fortunate. We now head to Burley, Idaho, where Hurley remains optimistic about the ability of America's farmers to bring in a bountiful harvest year after year. Nestled in a region of southern Idaho called Magic Valley, Burley, Idaho is an area rich in agriculture and reliant on irrigation. The curious name is the result of damming the Snake River. Routing that water helped magically turn some pretty tough terrain into productive farmland.
We have very little rainfall, but yet most of us enjoy a fairly large supply of water, and so we can raise consistently high-quality crops.
Wayne Hurst lives in Burley, where he runs a diversified irrigated row crop operation. Hurst produces sugar beets, potatoes, dry beans, forage crops, and wheat. Wheat harvest started late on the Hurst farms, usually cutting by the end of July, but they didn't start until mid-August.
Your wheat crop is overall, it's at least as good as average and maybe a little better than average in quality and in our yields that we're seeing.
Wayne's grandfathers were full-time farmers. His parents were educators, but also part-time farmers. As a boy, Wayne spent much of his free time living, learning, and growing a passion for farming. It was clear what the future would hold.
I really felt good about farming because I felt like it was good to be able to provide food for others. I felt like farming was a noble profession. I still do believe that.
Now a 4th-generation farmer, Wayne hopes his teenage sons, Matt and Mark, have that same belief in agriculture.
Several of my children have mentioned an interest in doing that. We haven't pressured them at all, but I would hope that 1 or 2 of them do want to return to the farm eventually.
Wayne's grown daughters help on the farm as they can. All 3 are married to military men, a point of pride for this American farmer. As if raising 5 kids weren't enough, Wayne's wife, Sherry, also takes an active role in the business.
She's also the partner in the business. Everything we do, we talk about, and whether it's marketing the crops or making a purchase or doing anything substantial like that, she's always the sounding board and the important partner.
When he's not busy on the farm, Wayne is traveling the country as president of the National Association of Wheat Growers, tending to policy and trade issues affecting America's farmers. But it's at home where Wayne's appreciation for the land and the ability to produce an abundant crop that holds this Idaho farmer true to his roots.
And you work closely with nature and work closely with the elements all year long to try to produce the best crop you can. And it's always gratifying to have a good, healthy harvest.
It's always amazing to me. If you take 1 kernel of wheat and it produces all of this wheat, to think that you can get so much from such a little thing as a kernel of wheat. You can produce bread and crackers and food for not only yourself and for the United States people, but people throughout the world.
The experience I had a few years ago with mare's tail, it taught me I needed to make sure that we didn't end up with resistant weeds. Liberty Link soybeans have done very well for us. This year they probably will be our best soybeans. They're as good, if not better. Knowing that I can get the tough weeds with Ignite is a big plus. It's another mode of action that we can have in our toolbox to kill the weeds and keep being able to kill the weeds.
Everything's heating up at your John Deere dealer during the Green Fever sales event. You could win a $45,000 Ultimate Patio Makeover by Belgard, or a brand new Airstream trailer, or one of 50 iPads in the Open Air, Open Road sweepstakes. Get to the Green Fever sales event at your John Deere dealer today for a hot deal, plus your chance to win big. No purchase necessary to enter or win. Sweepstakes ends February 29, 2012. See dealer or visit johndeere.com/greenfever for official rules.
When you're missing nitrogen, you're missing a lot. On average, more than 30% of soil-applied nitrogen simply disappears. Yet study after study shows that AgDay nitrogen stabilizers yield more. In 2008, 15 to 25 bushels per acre more in corn alone for just pennies per pound. Control nitrogen loss now with AgDay and get back what you're missing. Ask your retailer about AgDay or AgDay Plus.
With DeKalb, strength runs deep. All season long, DeKalb stands strong, powering through the season, standing tall even in the toughest conditions. So when it comes time to harvest, you're bringing out the big scales. Count on industry-leading genetics and advanced genuity traits to help you get more from every acre. For results you can take to the bin. For strong roots, stalks, and yields, go with DeKalb. 100 years strong.
Harvest in the western Corn Belt played out under mostly sunny skies. No doubt there were struggles getting here, but in the end, farmers like Steve Wellman were able to fill their trucks with golden grain. We head to his fields in Syracuse, Nebraska, where no matter the crop, good farming is key. Michelle Rook has her story.
It's harvest time in Syracuse, Nebraska, and farmer Steve Wellman is carrying on the tradition handed down to him by his grandfather.
I've never really had a big plan on size of an operation, but I always have concentrated on being as productive and efficient and on whatever acres we do have here to produce from.
It's a philosophy that's been successful for him operating Wellman Farms with his sister, wife Susan, and longtime employee Seth Cruz. Wellman says his desire to be a leader is rooted in his involvement in church and has evolved into community and agricultural service.
I wanted to be a part of that. I want to be an advocate for agriculture.
The leadership provided by Wellman as the American Soybean Association president will be critical for U.S. farmers as we go into the writing of the Farm Bill in 2012.
We're definitely moving towards more of a risk management, something that complements crop insurance, and it'll be something based on current pricing and not decades-old yields and prices that were loan rates and target prices that really don't reflect the current value of the grain that we produce.
Beyond the Farm Bill, Wellman is excited about the opportunities he sees in this new era of agriculture.
We just look at the growing world demand.
And that optimism is also rooted in this year's harvest.
It's always gratifying to see the results of hard work and Mother Nature's contribution.
That harvest is just one of the things that Wellman is thankful for. It starts with parents that gave him a love of the land and the miracle of life.
From there, then, my wife Susan and our kids, we've been very fortunate to have a good life and work together and be a part of a family operation.
He's also thankful for the opportunity to produce a safe, abundant product for the American consumer and to serve and advocate for the nation's soybean growers as their president.
The Johnsons, right?
Yeah.
Which house is yours?
The one with the Silverado up front.
So, what do you do?
Well, nice.
And Bingo was his name.
For those who live life for a living, the Chevy Silverado. From worksite to home front, Chevy runs deep.
Hello folks, this is Mark Gold with Top Third Ag Marketing. If you need help marketing your grains or livestock, give us a call. We offer one-on-one relationships that can protect you without the threat of margin calls. We don't speculate, we manage risk. If you're tired of paying acreage and management fees for marketing advice that hasn't actually helped your bottom line, then give us a call.
Call today to get 2 weeks of Mark's private grain marketing email. Top Third Ag Marketing, earning the trust of American farmers every day.
It's a very simple, very easy program, and today now it's pretty economical as well.
Enables us to farm more ground, and not only are we bigger farmers than we used to be, we're also much better.
I certainly do think growers should be concerned about weeds becoming resistant.
As time goes on and the more information I receive, if it's not here, it's coming here.
So try to do the right things to make sure that we can keep this program around as long as we possibly can.
I don't think the farmer of 10 years ago is the farmer today. You want to have agriculture take a step backwards. You go back to mechanical control of weeds. But whatever we can do to forestall the amount of resistant weeds, we should start doing that now.
In what's become a tradition for our Harvest of Thanks special, we're now joined by John Phipps with his holiday message. John?
Thanksgiving is a time we associate both culturally and historically with the farm. There are many warm and happy pictures people have of going home to the farm for Thanksgiving. It's also a time when many Americans give thanks to those of us who work here in the country to provide the feed and food and fiber for America. But this year, I'd like to turn that around, probably because we're looking at record farm income for many of us, and also we've seen the chance to be one of the brightest spots in the economy over the last 4 or 5 years. I'd like to say thank you to some people that I depend on, to the people who supply me tools, the people that supply me information, the people who process my raw materials into food that you can use, to the customers who buy those products, to the taxpayers who support me with subsidies. All these people deserve a thanks from those of us who are fortunate to live this life. Because if you can't have an attitude of gratitude about farming in 2011, there may not be a year when you will.
Thanks, John. What a perfect way to wrap up another Harvest of Thanks.
As we celebrate the bounty of Thanksgiving, we invite you to learn more about Farmers Feeding the World, how to get involved, how to make a difference, how to contribute. It's all available online at farmersfeedingtheworld.org.
We'd also like to thank Living History Farms for their help during our visit here.
I'm Andrew McCrae.
I'm Clinton Griffiths. Thanks for joining us for this Harvest of Thanks, and have a wonderful holiday season.